Hello everyone, let's discuss today's The Hindu editorial page. The first article is The Many Grave Risks Confronting the World Today. In this article, the writer says that the first quarter of the 21st century has been marked by geopolitical incompetence, with several nations contributing to this state of affairs. Europe, Asia, and Africa are currently in a state of permanent dissonance, while North and South America are plagued by problems of varying magnitude. This has set the stage for multipolar disorder. Liberal democracy faces numerous threats, including the attack on Israel by Hamas, a Palestinian terrorist organization, which represents a new high in the evolution of terrorism. This little acknowledged Palestinian terrorist organization could take on Israel, which is backed by one of the most powerful armies in the world, having a seismic impact across the world. There appears to be no end in sight to the challenges posed by fanaticized groups trying to achieve their ends and reinforce their beliefs. The attack on Ukraine by Russia on February 24, 2022, falls into a different category, viz. Conventional conflicts, but is still highly disturbing. The prolongation of the conflict, which was not expected to last more than a few weeks to well over 18 months, represents an even more disturbing trend. Even as the war continues to fester, neither Russia nor Ukraine, including NATO, is willing to consider a pause. A multitude of new technologies and strategies have proven insufficient to sort out matters on the battlefield. With each month, the risk of a wider conflict accumulation is going up, and the conflict shows few signs of reaching a resolution. A new battleground has opened up very recently in West Asia, following the terror attack by Hamas on Israel, which is turning into an all-out conflict. Much of the West is backing Israel, while the Arab world is left with little choice but to back Hamas. What is discouraging is that several weeks into the conflict, the threat of an all-out war in a region that has seldom had long periods of peace looms large. The two-state solution for resolving the Palestinian conflict has been consigned to the detritus of history, and the region is all set for another half a century of conflict. The Abraham Accords and other peace accords have fallen like ninepins. There is worse to come, with a massive United States Navy deployment from the Mediterranean to the Gulf of Oman in the wake of the Hamas-Israel conflict, having the potential of bringing Iran-backed Shia militant organizations, such as the Hezbollah, directly into the conflict. This would substantially alter the nature of the conflict and could lead to unpredictable consequences. Uneasiness in the Indo-Pacific region is another concern. The West's geopolitical incompetence has led to a growing number of countries attempting to establish their own states, leading to a complex and unstable global landscape. The next article is, It's Time to Revamp the Structure of the Supreme Court. In this article, the writer says that the Supreme Court of India has three jurisdictions under the Constitution: original, appellate, and advisory. It serves as a constitutional court and a court of appeal, sitting in benches of varying sizes determined by the registry on the directions of the Chief Justice of India, CJI. The Constitution Bench typically comprises 5, 7, or 9 judges who deliberate on specific issues related to constitutional law. Article 145(3) of the Constitution provides for the setting up of a Constitution Bench, which requires a minimum of 5 judges to sit for deciding a case involving a substantial question of law as to the interpretation of the Constitution, or for hearing any reference under Article 143, which deals with the power of the President to consult the court. Cases before the Supreme Court are heard by division benches of 2 judges or full benches, 3 judges, to examine a wide range of topics, such as film prohibitions, restrictions, or charges that a police commissioner abused his position. Under its broad jurisdiction, the Supreme Court has entered into frivolous public interest litigations, such as demands that passages be deleted from the Quran or secularism be removed from the preamble to the Constitution. In March 1984, the 10th Law Commission of India proposed that the Supreme Court be split into 2 divisions, the Constitutional Division and the Legal Division. This proposal stated that only issues pertaining to constitutional law would be brought to the proposed Constitutional Division. The 11th Law Commission stated in 1988 that dividing the Supreme Court into parts would make justice more widely available and significantly decrease the fees that litigants have to pay. Appeals in the top court mostly comprised matters from high courts that are closer to the Supreme Court, such as Punjab and Haryana High Court, Allahabad High Court, and Delhi High Court. The 229th Law Commission Report, 2009, recommended 4 regional benches to be located in Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, and Mumbai to hear non-constitutional issues. 6 judges from each region at 4 regional benches take up appellate responsibility, with a constitution bench in New Delhi working on a regular basis. By dividing the heavy backlog of non-constitutional cases among regional benches, the Supreme Court, along with other courts, can better address the challenges faced by the judiciary in addressing the growing number of cases pending before the 34 judges of the Supreme Court. The next article is from Mint newspaper. The article is Political Economy of Federalism, Contain Transfer Union Discord. In this article, the writer says that the Union of India, UOI, and the Eurozone are 2 federations that have mechanisms for transferring resources from richer to poorer constituents. However, if the perception grows that the richer states are subsidizing profligacy or incentivizing populist policies in the poorer states, the Union could be politically destabilized. This perception is growing currency both in the Eurozone and in India. In the Eurozone, there is rancor between the poorer southern states and the richer northern ones, with the phrase transfer union often used to describe transfers of resources from the latter to the former. Although the Union of India is structurally different from the Eurozone, there is a similar perception in the southern and western states that revenues generated from their taxpayers are being transferred to northern and eastern states, forcing them to borrow more than necessary for their own development. Indian data shows that the taxes raised by India's northern and eastern states are equal to the taxes transferred to them. However, the southern and western states raise 4 times the amount in taxes than what is transferred to them. On average, there is no significant difference between the 2 sets of states in the debt burden as a share of gross state domestic product, GSDP. However, the per capita debt burden in the southern and western states is much higher due to their borrowing capacity and tax-paying ability. Unlike the European Monetary Union, the Indian version of the transfer union does not involve transfers from richer southern states and western states to the poorer north and east, but from the 2 surplus regions to the central government in Delhi that collects most of these taxes. In the European Monetary Union, it is the poorer states that are more highly indebted, which is what one would expect. In India, however, there is no appreciable difference in the indebtedness of the 2 sets of states. The debate over this asymmetric contribution can get geopolitically messy if political dispositions in the center and states are at loggerheads, and there is a feeling that the rights guaranteed to them under the Constitution are being undermined. Measures need to be taken to assuage growing resentment, and the 2 unions can also learn from each other's experience in adjusting their extant fiscal rules to arrive at an optimal policy mix.